audience. That means you guys are going to help me sing the next song, right? Uh-oh, I see some people.
Yeah, that was half-hearted. You know, I figured it was rainy today. You guys go to Senior Frogs or anything like that? Do they have that here? I don't know.
Yeah, they do.
You took advantage of the indoor sports, didn't you? Well, think about it this way. Before you run for the exits when Matt says you're going to sing with us, if we come up in conversation in the future with your friends, you get to say, oh, the Nelsons. I used to sing with them. So this one will be fun. We're going to run a clip in a second that talks about, you know, we weren't around for our dad's teen idol phase of his career, you know, the 50s and stuff. We were born smack in the middle of the summer of love. We were hippie kids in Hollywood. And we always thought that it was a normal existence, at least for us. But looking back on it, it was fairly surreal. I mean, you got to figure, 1967 in Hollywood, it was like this. The guy with the crazy hair that used to come over and play pool with our dad and never leave turned out to be none other than Bob Dylan. And the guy who rented the house next door, who was a great guy, really sweet, but again, he would always listen to our dad's records and stuff. He signed everything Hare Krishna, was George Harrison from the Beatles. And our sometimes on-again, off-again babysitter, believe it or not, was Mama Cass Elliot from the Mamas and Papas. We were hungry for years. Hey. Good twin, evil twin. You got that. But we thought that was normal, you know? Everybody's dad was a rock star, you know? All your parents' friends all had hit records too, right? But it was kind of neat because these are the people that grew up listening to his records. And see, when the Ozzie and Harriet show ended in 1966, he took a little break, and, you know, of course, he had come up representing the 50s, you know, Eisenhower era America. And what was happening in 1967, it was definitely not Ozzie and Harriet, you know? It was like a bygone era. So his friends would come over, and they started to encourage him to do something different, you know, to put something together. And he thought about it. He put together a band that melded his rock and roll, his rockabilly roots, with some country music that he had been doing. And when he was inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they credited him in 1967 with co-founding something called country rock. And there was a little club in Los Angeles called the Troubadour Club, and it's still there. And on any given night in 67, 68, you could see Rick Nelson's Stone Canyon Band, which was his band was called. Linda Ronstadt, Stone Pony, her first band. Members of the Buffalo Springfield, the Hollies, the Byrds. And, well, our dad's bass player went on to form a little band a couple years later with some guys that hung out at the bar called the Eagles. You might hear from them. They're really good. So that's the stuff that we grew up with. And our dad was encouraged to write. He put this band together. And you got to figure, after growing up on television all these years, and then people just, quite frankly, didn't care about him in the music industry. So he had nothing to lose. And sometimes when you have nothing to lose, you gain everything. And he wrote these great songs, and wasn't selling a whole lot of records when he was invited to play a rock and roll oldie show at Madison Square Garden in New York City. And the promoter said, hey, look, as long as you show up, people won't care. But he had been playing this new music, and he didn't look like he did in the 50s anymore. We know what he feels like to not look the same. It's just amazing. And 20,000 people booed him off the stage when he played a Rolling Stones song, Honky Tonk Woman. They wanted to see the 50s, and it was more, he said later on, that he just didn't look like black and white, slick back hair Ricky Nelson. He wrote a song about the experience, and it became his biggest hit record ever. And it was a testament to us. You know, he didn't encourage us to get in the music business, but he said, guys, if you're going to do this, definitely write. Because of the experience that he had where he turned a negative into a true positive. And we have a clip that talks about this time in his life. And if anybody wanted to know how young we were when we got bitten by the music bug, we have video proof. And in my humble opinion, nobody rocks Huggies or Pampers like the Nelson brothers. Here we go.
Before you're over, I want something to show for.
Ricky, you know, like a lot of people, like us in the beginning was kind of an Elvis takeoff. A lot of people start like that. They start like their idol, and then they develop, they find their own voice, and Ricky really found his. So when he got to Garden Party and things like that, I think there was like a new respect then.